Try Shop for having me. And thank you guys for coming out today to take some time to listen to what I have to say. And so my talk today is titled, Enjoy Life, Train with Balance. Okay? That means a lot of different things to everybody. Enjoying life means something different to the next person. Training with balance means something different to the next person. All right, so my talk is very interactive. So these little cards, they're actually numbered, and they're kind of little cues that kind of lead along this talk. Draws from personal experience, clients. I'm also a coach as well. And it kind of magnifies what we're talking about today. So with that, who has card number 1? All right, Tommy.
Tell us a little about you and where it all started.
All right, a little about me, where it all started. So, back in 1984, that was my first triathlon. I was in college. I couldn't swim. It was my aspiration to get to do an Ironman one day. So my buddies in college decided I went to UT, went to do a triathlon. So that was my first triathlon. That's where it started. 84, I couldn't swim. Went out there with my buddies. It was an Olympic. If you guys want a little humor, my swim took 50 minutes for an 800-meter open water swim. Yeah, quite comical. Yeah, people say, well, what were you doing out there for so long? And I was like, well, I was drowning and nobody would save me. So, in that's where it all started, kind of from an athlete, triathlon kind of thing. I'm a father. I've got 2 from my first marriage. I provide them here. They didn't make what they did over. I've got 1 from my now marriage. She's over here. And my wife, Rachel, who's also here today. So I've been running since 78, triathlon since 84, coaching officially since around 2005, and I'm just getting paid to do that, and that's my full-time job now. I love it, and I really love giving back to the community and coaching and helping and guiding people do what I practice now. Don't get me wrong, I didn't always do it right or do it as good as I do now. I'll do better is what I'll say, but that's where it all began for me. Been an athlete most of my life as far as kind of competitive and whatnot. I go way back with the Tri Shop when they opened up and had many ups and downs in my life and things, and I'm here today to speak to you guys, and I'm very happy to do that. So that's a little bit about me, my background. I also have 3 grandkids. My daughter and my son is a doctor downtown, and my daughter lives in Plano. I've got 3 grandkids as well. So they're busy juggling their lives as well. So with that, who's got card number 2?
What are some of your balance fails?
Some of my balance fails. So we talk about balance in our life, and that means, again, balance and enjoyment and what fails and what not fails. So in my life, some things that stick out. One is not getting enough rest and being a workaholic. Back when my son was born, my daughter was first, my daughter's oldest, my son. 6 months in, workaholic, training, doing what I could. I fell asleep at the wheel. I didn't give sleep, rest, priority in my life. I fell asleep at the wheel. Now, fortunately, I did not have to learn a tragic or bad message from that. The message I did learn was basically I got to give sleep priority. Okay, so that was one of the biggest ones that I model my life after now. Okay, and I've got more to talk about that soon. Second big fail is my older daughter. One of her early birthdays, elementary school. I missed it. It wasn't so much that I missed it, it was why I missed it. We as triathletes and athletes and just people in general, we put priorities and places and whatnot. And like I said, I like to think I do much better now, but you'll ask my wife and my daughter, and if my other kids were here, you'd ask them. I do better now, and that's what I'm striving to help everybody here today, is do better and enjoy life and in balance. So I missed her birthday party. It was why I missed her birthday party. It was for selfish reasons, because I had to get in my training, and that was the only thing that was important to me that day. You can't get those moments back. There's many times in our lives we prioritize, we think something's really important, and we look back and it's like, no, it really wasn't that important to get that training in that day. You can't get those moments back. Okay, so in balance and enjoying life is sharing with family and loved ones. So those moments, learn how to not get all wound up in it and figure out what really is important. And maybe to some, maybe that training is that important and it didn't really matter if they missed the whatever. Okay, but I'm telling you, for me, it was, and I did. So that was a big fail. The third one was also related to being a workaholic, and these are just kind of some of the higher, I'll say, not so good points. Being a workaholic. So I was computers. I did IT, hardware and software support, big computers, multi-million-dollar machines. So if they go down, they're losing millions of dollars and whatnot. So when do you work on a computer like that? Saturday night to Sunday when everybody else is sleeping at home for the weekend. So every weekend, back in the day, every weekend, almost without fail, I would lay down and take a nap around 3 o'clock, and my kids were conditioned like, oh, you take a nap? Okay, we're just gonna basically write you out of our lives at this point, because I'd go take a nap, I'd work through the night, and service the computers, because that's when we could work on them. That's the only time they could be down. So in that, those are just some that really stick out in my life, and that probably leads us to the next question, which is,
Looking back, how would you fix some of those things?
so those fails that I just mentioned. So fell asleep at the wheel, missed my daughter's birthday for selfish reasons, and then also being a workaholic. So the sleep kind of is twofold. So missing the sleep and falling asleep at the wheel, I couldn't drive 15 minutes. I picked my son up from the daycare, 15 minutes home, I nodded off. Now again, fortunately there was nothing catastrophic that happened. I woke back up to see red lights, I swerved off, and I was this close to a pole, and there's cars I would have hit. I took that moment to stop and reflect and say, yep, I got the message, I can't go on like this. So sleep is one of the highest priorities in my life to date. Okay, I promised myself from that point on that sleep would always get priority. Okay, and so I do very well for the most part. We all have our ups and downs, but getting sleep. So I put my son in jeopardy, I put myself in jeopardy, I put others in jeopardy. You can almost say it's like drinking and driving. You put other people for, wrong acts, okay? So that was one thing. So to date, so in that computer job and whatnot, if there was times where I, was working late and this and that, like you do, we all have busy lives. I would often drive and just be kind of like this. So I promised myself I would either make arrangements to get back and forth to work, or I would sleep at work before I drive home and stuff. And so I made it a priority. Okay, so you have to plan. You've got to think about it. I would take snacks and whatnot to kind of munch on and whatnot to keep me active and engaged while driving and whatnot. So that was one thing I changed. So as far as like the party thing, being selfish, that comes into planning. So what I would do different is really, really, really think what's important. And as we grow, our values change. What's important to us changes. So again, a party to some may not be important, but it is to me. Family and friends is most important. That's your support structure in life, and it keeps you going. Okay, you really find that out when you have some pitfalls and hard times. So with my daughter, I wouldn't miss it, and so those are things I've changed priorities. As far as being a workaholic, and every weekend, looking back, kind of that balance of it is it wouldn't have been unreasonable for me to say, working every weekend, it would not have been unreasonable for me to say, 1 weekend a month, I'm not working. They're computers, they're not people. Okay? They're computers. So it wouldn't have been unreasonable for me to say, 1 weekend a month, I'm staying home with my family. So, there's many times we have balance in our lives and we think, oh, is that really important? Some other things I did, my sister was a prime example, and this is one of the things I do as myself. So in that workaholic mode is that in support, I get calls all day, computers are broke, multi-million dollars, they're down, they're broken, okay, what are we gonna do? So I would stop answering the phone. I get off around 5-ish, let's just say 5 for sake of example. Get up at 5 o'clock, so I'd stop answering the phone no later than 4:30. Okay, what that allowed me to do is to kind of wind down my day, close out tickets, and just kind of close it out. The phone would ring, my coworkers look at me and say, "You gonna answer?" I said, "No." I said, "If it's important, they'll leave a voicemail." You know what? And then I get the choice whether I'm gonna respond to that or act on it or go home. Is it really that important? Okay? If they didn't leave a voicemail, it's probably not that important. So, but what allowed me to do is close out my day and start to work into getting home. Okay? As we're all guilty, and don't get me wrong, we still, we're all gonna get hung up into it to some degree, but my sister, same thing. She works in the medical field, so yeah, medical field's a little different. There are people behind, things and people that are needed, right? So again, there's exceptions, but there's still also boundaries we can all draw from. So with my sister, it was, she did the support for the pagers and the phones for the doctors, right? But they had a pool of backup pagers and phones, such that if the doctor turned in a phone that needed some service or update or whatever, they would take a backup that worked perfectly fine, okay? But doctors, and we all know we want our phone, right? Our phone, our pager, and we don't want a backup, even though it works just fine, right? Well, so same thing. These doctors would just come dumping on her desk at 5 o'clock, and she's ready to walk out the door. I need it right now. And she'd give them, no, I don't want a backup. I need it right now. And so when she learned how to, say no, and say no, well, here's your backup. If you don't want to turn it in, then I'll be here tomorrow. The backups work just fine. So again, finding those lines and boundaries in your life and what's important, and how to say no. And so in those fails of mine, go on and on. But the main thing for me is putting the priority of myself and family and friends higher than what we all at some point in time often do, right? This is really, really important. I'm gonna miss such and such, okay? Yeah, maybe it is, but then maybe it's not, okay? So, what question number was that one? 3? Very good, 3. Oh yeah, okay, all right. So let's move along to, what's question number 4?
4 is, how do you balance it all right now?
How do I balance it all right now? Well, I'd like to think I do, I know I've been told I do better than I've done in the past, but true testimony is only going to really come from my wife, Rachel, and Fiona right now. And if you happen to see my kids or family or whatever, you can always ask them, so ask them. But what I do now and how I live and I teach and I coach and influence others is really it starts with communication. So able to have balance in my life, communication. So I've got to communicate with Rachel. Hey, I've got workouts, boom, 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 here. Taking Fiona here. So you've got to have a schedule and communicate. You've got to see what's on the schedule as opposed to, I'm just going to work out. It doesn't matter whatever else I'm going. I'll be back and right? No, you got to communicate. Hey, I'm working out here. Is this fit? This is fit. And some of us will get kind of, I got to work out. Well, yeah, you do, but there's still, life goes on. So communication as a husband, communicating to my daughter Fiona, that letting her know that, okay, I've got to get this workout in, but in return, okay, what is she going to give up or I'm going to give up? So what I like to do is I actually include my family in my workouts, if that's applicable for whatever. So one of my favorite things to do is to go run. And even with my older kids, they rode their bikes while I ran. So she's doing the same thing. Yeah, she's on the mountain bike, I'm running, and then Rachel comes as well sometimes, depending on what the workout is. But the biggest key to that is it's not just for me. So a lot of times we go to Arbor Hills. We'll run there or we'll run at Arbor Hills. I'm running, she's riding, and they're riding or whatever. So I get my time for my workout, but then I give them time. Okay, mostly more so her. She likes to go play in the playground. She likes to go on the trails. She likes to do whatever. So I get my time. She gets her time. So she gives up time for me to be with me running. In turn, I give her back time at the park or the playground or the whatever. And so everybody wins. And it's teaching priorities and time management for her as well as a youngster. Okay, she's learning to, okay, well, if I do this, if I give up this, then I get this. And it's a win-win for both, okay? She doesn't necessarily want to be out there at all times riding on a mountain bike or riding on a bike while I'm running. But she knows if she does, that she gets some time to play in the playground, which, maybe I like it, maybe I don't. Or maybe I don't want to go on the trails, I'm tired, I just did my workout. But I got my workout. So in return, it's give and take. So those are some of the things that I do now, and communications is the root of that. Pizza, yeah. Pizza's in there too, yes.
I've seen marriages literally, I've seen people get divorced behind training for triathlon.
Yes.
But what I think works the best is exactly what you're saying, is when you can get the whole family involved.
Exactly.
It's not like you have this thing off to the side that you
Right.
would do and it's your
Right.
thing.
Right.
But when everybody, the whole family is involved, it's like, and who doesn't want the whole family to be active doing, it's a
Exactly.
great thing for the
Health.
family to be involved in. And when the kids can get excited now that, you see these young people getting
Yes.
interested in triathlon, they would have never known anything about that if it wasn't a family. If you were off doing it by yourself
Exactly.
and they weren't involved.
To that very point, in my first marriage, that's what I did. Okay, so kind of a small aside fail. I would get up and go do my runs, rides, and everything, and come back, and they would just be waking up. Okay, so as my kids, as I grew up and whatnot, they looked back and they didn't know what I did. My son didn't really gain, I'll say, respect for me until he did his first triathlon when he was in college. He was like, Dad, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, you're nuts. I said, yeah, I know. But they didn't know because I didn't include them. And I thought that was good. Now, it was good to some degree. I got the workouts in, but what did it do to the family? Okay. So exactly to your point. Plus it's health. Health. Yes.
So, just to expand on your point on communication, one of the things that we do for communication is we share a calendar. So we are constantly looking at that calendar, updating that calendar. As far as Fiona's events, I have the LISD school calendar synced. I have her what's due tomorrow or next week synced. There's calendars that you can get. You can get links to calendars. We share all of that. So he sees it, I see it. I see what he wants to share. He sees what I want to share. And so it's just constant communication.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not perfect all the time. Sometimes something doesn't sync. And it's like, oh, okay, well, we just have to adjust on the fly, but we're planners to begin with. We plan months in advance. So there's stuff on the calendar out there for next year already. So it's just knowing and anticipating what's to come, even if it changes. It's just constant communication. So that's one of the tools that we use.
So that's just, immediate family and whatnot. But so as a coach, I do the same thing with my athletes as far as helping them arrange their lives. Figuring out how much time they have in each week to fit their training schedule and family schedule. And I'm all about family first, right? So they tell me, oh, I've got this and this. Okay, well, we can adjust the schedule, move your workout here and here. You get that time with your family. So again, helping my athletes do the same thing that I've learned how to do, I'll say better. That's what I'm gonna say is better. Not perfect, don't get me wrong, I mess it up from time to time. But better, okay? As athletes, coach-client relationship, getting that, figuring out, I got 30 minutes here, I got an hour here. What's the best bang for your buck? So fitting that in so that, they learn how to communicate with their family better. And now their family wins as well, okay? Or significant other or whoever's in your life. So, even as an elite athlete, so I was off the back in the beginning years and left swimming, left biking, running. Now I'm at the front, okay? I'm at the good portion top of my age group. As an elite athlete, no matter who we are, beginner, my book, we're not getting paid. Unless you're getting paid, you're holding out on me. I don't know about it, right? You're getting paid. We're not getting paid to do this. It's got to be fun. It's got to be fun. I've coined a phrase called sick fun, right? We love it. It's crazy, it hurts, but it's fun. We love it. If you don't, you got to reevaluate why you're doing it. So in that, even being an elite athlete and having that balance of fun and training and hard and fun, right? People think if you're going hard, it's not fun. Or if you're an elite athlete, you got to be serious and this and that, and it's no longer any fun, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, there's people that actually thrive that way, and that is fun for them, okay? That's just not necessarily me, and I'll say the majority of us need to have some fun level in it, no matter how hard you're working, okay? So, with that, what is the next question? What number are we on? 5?
I think that's me.
5.
If you had to pick one thing that makes this all possible to enjoy life and train with balance.
One thing, so I sum it up in the word time. Time. Everything centers around time. We're gonna have time for this, we're gonna have time for that. If you've seen the movie Collateral Beauty, there's a couple things in there. There's a character named Raffi, and he is a person representing time in the movie. If you've seen it, if you haven't, he represents time, and I'm not gonna get the quote quite right, but he says, time, I'm abundant. He's saying, he's time. He says, I'm abundant, and I'm a gift, and you're wasting it. And the preface of the movie is that, we have time, and we do waste it. We overcommit, we don't manage it, and then we get frustrated because we didn't manage our time properly. By overcommitting, right? It's like, I didn't get all in. Oh God, dang. Or we book things and we feel guilty because we booked one over the other, and then we feel guilty because we didn't manage our time right. Time, in my mind, is like the biggest thing. We can manage it better by communications, prioritizing really what's important to us, to each of us, and that's different for everybody. Only you can answer that question for yourselves. Time. But yeah, time is abundant. We have it. We're thankful we do have it. Don't abuse it. Manage it. Learn how to manage better. Okay? Don't overbook yourself. Learn how to say no. Right? I'm the biggest. I want to fix everybody. I want to help everybody. I want to be at everything. I realized earlier on in life that I'm not going to please everybody. And once I realized that was in my 30s. I remember when it was a specific event, coaching my kids, my son with baseball. I remember specific when that happened in my life. I'm not going to please everybody. And, by saying yes to everything, you're going to fall short somewhere, whether it be yourself or somebody else, because you're not going to be able to commit. So, learn how to say no. Learn what's important. Okay? Learn how to put it on the calendar or whatever management system you have for time. Time is it. And in the movie, if you see Collateral Beauty, that'll come out a little bit more to you. It really resounded to me. It's just, time is abundant. And we're wasting it, or we do waste it. We're all guilty of it in some form or fashion, myself included. I just like to think I do a little better now for certain than I did in the past. Okay, certainly looking back at my computer example, giving up every weekend for a computer. Okay, again, in my mind, it wouldn't have been unreasonable to say, you know what, 1 week in a month, I'm not coming in. You can figure it out. Find somebody else. People juggle schedules. Somebody else can do it. So, anyway, time. Time is it. Time is it. That was number 5, wasn't it? 6.
Do you have to give up life to train long?
Do you have to give up life to train long? There's some that will tell you yes. Old school. As a coach, I look at this and I laugh, I chuckle. Old school, the coach training for Ironman. Okay, does everybody know what Ironman is? I think everybody does. Ironman, yes? Okay. So training for Ironman as an old school coach, I would prescribe the last 2 months leading up to Ironman, every other weekend was a 100-mile ride, so that's about 800-mile rides leading up to Ironman. right? Okay, for age groupers, just somebody that just wants to finish. Okay, yeah, I hear you. So somebody that is just the joy of just getting across the finish line. That's to me giving up your life. I mean, those are long hours. Okay, what I have found, and personal information, client information, studies, whatnot, but mostly I rely on personal information. I've done it many different ways, and clients have done it many different ways. Quality versus quantity. Okay? We can apply that to many things in our life, not just training, but quality versus quantity. If I've got 2 hours and I action-pack that 2 hours to be very specific in what we're doing and where we're headed, I can get that same effect in 2 hours that I could do over 4 hours. Boom, it just shrunk our window. So no, in my mind, we don't have to give up our life to train long, okay? With all the technology we have, gadgets and data and power and all, garments and everything. Well, I don't have my garment on, so it's very rare. So technology, training smarter, okay? So my whole reason kind of for getting into this was to one day do Ironman in Kona. I haven't got there yet. But back then, it was like, I'm going to get there. Now it's harder for me kind of to see how I get there. But I know when I get there, it's going to be because I'm going to be a smarter racer than the next person. Because if we look at me on paper and look at my age group and that, on paper, I'm probably not one you'd bet on, okay? The odds, I'm going to play the odds, right? But on any given day, anybody can take the prize, right? So I'm going to be the athlete that's going to be smarter than any of the other athletes on that day and be victorious at some point in time to get there. That's how it's going to happen for me, okay? Sometime, I don't know when that's going to be. But I've got to be smarter. I've got to be smarter than the next guy, because on paper, I'm not a person that, if you look at the numbers, like you're betting on horses, like you look at the numbers, I'm the long shot.
Or you can do 12 of them.
Yeah, I could, yeah. I'm having a hard time getting back in. I was like, I took a break right now. I'm like, I got to get back in the game to get there.
I don't know how smart that is. You're probably not the smartest. That's one way.
So yes, but so anyway, it just technology, smarter, quality versus quantity. No, you don't have to give up your life in order to train longer endurance, or even for shorter stuff. Shorter stuff for some is like a marathon or an Ironman for others, right? Somebody that just gets into the sport of triathlon and they're thinking about doing a sprint, that might as well be an Ironman for them, okay? It might as well be. So endurance and giving up your life is all relative, just like balance is relative for all of us in different aspects. Enjoying life is different for all of us in aspects, okay? So enjoying life for me, that may be a different meaning for you. What enjoying life is, whether it be family and friends and whatnot, that could be different. But whatever that is for you, make sure you do balance it. And that you do things to make it better, because everybody wins in the end, okay? Everybody wins in the end. Because if you got better balance in your training and whatever you're trying to achieve, then the people around you flourish as well. And you know what? That spreads. It spreads all over.
I think you also have to enjoy what we do.
Yes.
If that's part of
Yes.
enjoyment, like I think I love training and
Yes.
camaraderie and all of that.
Because if you don't, why are you doing it?
Yeah, if you don't enjoy it.
If you don't, I tell you to step back and think, why are you doing it? Okay? I love it. Again, people laugh. I say use the word sick fun, because it is. There's no cure. I've been doing it forever and ever, and I'm still the same. I'm still crazy, and I laugh. We do workouts and oh, that was a messed up workout. I know. I didn't think of it this time. It wasn't me. It was somebody else. But a lot of times I do. It's like, gee, wow, that worked. Why did you do that? Well, because we could. So, yes, we've got to enjoy it. Okay. Technology, again, I emphasize technology, quality versus quantity, okay? Best bang for your buck, time management is all that. So, let's see, where are we now? There's one more question, I believe.
7.
7, yes. Yes.
What is your favorite balance activity that includes training?
So I kind of touched on it. So balance activities for me has always been pretty much running and having my kids with me riding or something, and I'm running whatever it be, trails or whatnot. So back early with my older kids, they would ride while I ran, and we did that regularly. And so they were involved in that regard, but that was about it. So now taking that a step further, one of my favorite things is, like I said, so Rachel and Fiona will be with me. They'll be on the bikes or maybe at Arbor Hills, or we've ridden, Rachel's taking the car to Arbor Hills. Fiona, I'll run, she'll ride there. Then we're all at Arbor Hills, we'll do some stuff there. And we play in the trails, play on the trails, and she's leading the way in the trails. And just trying to get away from the spiders and stuff, and critters and things in the grass. But yeah, so that's one of my favorite things, is really me running and having my close ones with me out there enjoying nature, and then giving them time, even if it's a little treat after we're gonna go out and grab a little bite or something. That's what they enjoy to do, So again, it's a give and take. That's what I love, and it's worked out good. And again, you can ask them if that's good. So see, she's smiling. Mac and cheese, she knows, like, give it up. So, but yeah, so that's it. So just think about what balance means to you. Think about what enjoying life means to you. And Natalie said it good. Is you gotta enjoy it. If you don't, take a step back. What is fun for you? What do you enjoy? And figure out how to balance that in your life with the ones that are around you. So I think that's about all I got to say. If there's any questions about, things you guys do or have, or of me, just me and
So
Jenna.
I have a question for you from Bree, since she's not here. I was hoping
Okay,
she would.
okay.
Okay, so do you have to have an off season? Because she's now in a position where she's got 2 sports that are conflicting seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so what would
Good
be the
question.
off season for triathlon right now is
Start
her
to
on
ramp up.
season for
Yes.
skating. So does she need an off season?
So that's a great question. Did everybody hear the question? We need an off season. So my straight answer to that is yes. Okay. Now, however, in her situation, she's got 2 sports that she's working. So what I would do, or would recommend, is that as one season ramps up, the activities that support that season, whether it be strength and endurance or whatever, focus there, and the focus of the triathlon kind of stuff kind of goes faded. You're still doing those things, but that emphasis isn't there. So say the swimming, it gets relaxed maybe, right? It's still great cardio. You can still do it, but it doesn't need to be intense. It doesn't need to be that, because the cardio still will support her other activities.
Right.
Okay, so you kind of still need that balance of yes, an off season, or what I like to call winter maintenance. Off season to me implies we're not going to do anything. Okay, I always like to be doing something, even if it's easier, lighter, and just fun. Okay, so for me, I call it winter maintenance, and my winter maintenance starts around November, December time frames, and then I jump back in January typically. So for me, I let my food go a little bit. I usually by somewhere in December, my body's rebelling and saying, okay, yep, we gotta get back. We gotta stop putting this stuff in there. It's like, still have some cake after here. So yeah, so winter maintenance, yes. To answer the question, I feel you do need a off season or a winter maintenance, or even if it's not winter, a maintenance period of where you just kind of relax your schedule, you relax your nutrition a little bit, you relax. So then, when you're ready to dive back in, you're a bit more hungry. You can kind of change some things. Well, I did this last season. I'm gonna change my nutrition. I'm gonna change my training a little bit. You get hungry for that again. If you're just year-round trying to stay peaked and stay loaded up, eventually you're gonna burn out or overtrain, in my opinion. So, any other questions? Yes.
You stayed relatively injury-free throughout your triathlon career. How have you done that?
How have I done that? Great question. So, just for the record, thank you, Kristen. I've been injury-free since the year 2000. Okay, 2000. Now, what does that really mean? In my book, it means that I haven't missed a race or anything or whatnot due to something that if I went on, I would break or hurt something further. Okay. The closest I've been injury-free, or having an injury. 2007, a week before Ironman, I was swimming and I was a workout. I went hard. My left elbow made a popping noise. I went home. It was a Wednesday, week and a half before Ironman. I went home. My elbow was bloop, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh. So went to the doctor because that's what I tell my clients to do. I went to the doctor. I said, look, doc. I said, do I do anything to hurt myself further? He did his little assessment. He said, no. He says, you can actually train through this. I said, no, I don't need to train through it. I need to know that if I do an Ironman in a week and a half, am I going to hurt myself and make this worse? He said no. So it was this motion right here. Just this little motion. I stretched right here at the end of the tricep. So I rested it for a week and a half for the race. I said, I ran this by the doc. I said, I'm going to do a 10-minute, when I get there, kind of get in the water, kind of feel it, and then I'm going to do the race. And I said, I'm prepared to one-arm it if I need to. I'm going to one-arm it. If I can just one-arm it, because it didn't hurt on the bike, it didn't hurt to run. He said, no, you're good. I said, so, I got that blessing. So, in answer to Kristen's question, listening to my body, getting rest, stretching, recovery, all those things. If I have nags or aches, the main thing is I make sure I understand how it happened. Okay, if my hip starts hurting, which it does quite a bit, it gets out of alignment, I know why it does that. If I don't know, I've got to take a step back and assess, why am I hurting? Why is this hurting? And, oh yeah, you know what, I did an extra weight workout, some squats and whatnot, that's a little sore. Okay, but if I don't pay attention to it and I continue to do that and it starts going up, then that's where injuries happen. So I don't go to that point. I step back. I missed swim this week. I told Coach Kristen that I was gimpy in my shoulders because I neglected my strength leading up to my last races. And I was just powering through the pool, neglected my strength, and my shoulders got gimpy, both in the same spot. So I knew that was it. So I've rested 2 weeks since my race. I'm ready to get back in the pool next week. I will see you there. Okay. I'll be back in the pool, but my shoulders are better, and I've almost got full range of motion again, but they were gimpy. They hurt. Okay. I can still swim, but making the choice to sit down and rest when is needed, respecting your body in those times of gimpiness or hurt or whatever, and not letting it get to an injury where it says, if you do something, you're on the sideline, okay? So if I'd have kept going with my shoulders, I probably would have done something, had to go to the doctor, and he said, no, don't swim, okay? So I don't get to that point. So hopefully that answers your question. Good. Any other questions? Yes.
So I have some friends whose significant others or spouses are not supportive of their triathlon adventures or whatever they're doing. Obviously, each relationship is unique, but what suggestions, recommendations do you have?
So here's how I would say that, because that's common. So, I'm fortunate enough that I've got 2 ladies that are able to be active and get out with me and whatnot. So what I would say to those couples that maybe the other person isn't active or maybe isn't supportive, what does the significant other person like to do? Okay, what does that person like to do? You tap into that. So let's just say they like to go to the opera or something that, I know that would be tough for me, okay? So by showing interest, okay, hey, let's go to the opera or whatever. It's not something I want to do or even,
Daniel.
so I think support is a strong word for me. Is that fair? So that's an example for me. So, but I would go. I don't want to do that. That's hard for me to do. So by showing that support, hopefully there's a little bit of reluctance to come back and show support the other direction. Now that doesn't always happen, but that's what that's the recommendation I would, because let's just face it, being out on a half Ironman course or a course and stand there cheering for somebody that's not really in that's tough, right? Mm-hmm. Being a spectator. So again, giving to the other side, hopefully the other side comes back, and it's kind of a give and take. Hopefully that answers your
What I've seen too, it works, is you just kind of agree to do your separate things. He
That's
goes
true as well.
hunting, and you go do your triathlon, and then you do something together different.
Exactly, that's true as well. That's a good
Communication here, I think,
middle ground,
important,
yeah.
And for me, it was inviting my husband to come and see what it was, because he wasn't unsupportive. He was just neutral. Wouldn't even say goodbye when I left to go to training. And I invited him to come to tri camp with us, just because it was outdoors, and I thought he could just hang out. And he saw what everybody did, and now look at him. He kayaks with us every Sunday. And he's probably one of our best Sherpas because
Oh, yeah.
he loves
Oh, yeah.
seeing everybody else succeed without him
Oh,
having
yeah.
to do it.
Yes, yes.
The reality is, Ironman and half Ironman, they're boring if you're a
Yeah.
spectator.
Good.
You know, if you're not into it, you're not
Yeah.
into it. So
Yes, that's true.
It's kind
Good question as well. Are there any other questions? I think we got some giveaways here too. So if there's any other questions? Well, I definitely want to thank everybody for coming out today. And like I said, they're the true testimony of what I've said today as far as balance and whatnot. So if you get a chance to chat Rachel and Fiona, ask them questions. I like to think I do better, but really I can sit up here and say stuff, but they're the real testimony. So let me go see if they're doing raffle stuff because I think